The Hebrews are a major civilization from 1800 BC till present. They are very famous for their monotheistic beliefs. They were the first people to believe that there is only one just, powerful God and it controls everything. The Hebrews believe that God does not act like a human. He did not get hungry or thirsty, marry or have children. Now, let's move back to 1800 BC when Abraham promised God that he will lead the people to Canaan.
There was a man called Abram that lived in the Mesopotamian city Ur. He met God and made an agreement with him. So God added his letter to Abram's name, and from then on he was called Abraham. Abraham and his followers were to leave Ur and to move to the promised land Canaan. There they were to worship and obey God as the one and only true God. In exchange, God promised that they and their offsprings could live in Canaan forever.
Abraham's grandson, Jacob, had 12 sons. Each son led a separate family group, and each family formed a tribe. There were 12 tribes in total. The Hebrews stayed in Canaan for about 100 years. Then there was a drought, and the Hebrews had to move to the great empire where they could get food, Egypt. The Hebrews were enslaved for 600 years until the great leader Moses rose.
A Hebrew kid who was raised by a pharaoh led the exodus. God appeared before him and told him that he needed to go to the pharaoh and demanded freedom for the Hebrews. After many discussions and demands, the 10 plagues, the pharaoh finally agreed to let the Hebrews free. But that wasn't his final decision. After the Hebrews got free, he decided to form a troop to slay the Hebrews.
So, when God realized the Hebrews are being chased, he decided to use some magic. He parted the Red Sea to allow the Hebrews to cross and escape from the Egyptians to the Sinai desert. After all the Hebrews crossed, he closed the bridge that he created on the Egyptians. When they reached Sinai mountain, Moses was called up the mountain to talk with God. Before he left, he told his people to not worship any god of any form when he is up the mountain. Days passed and the Hebrews started to disobey his orders.
They started to think that God left them, so they decided to build a bull idol and to worship it. At the top of the mountain, things were completely different. Moses talked with God and he gave him the Ten Commandments. The Ten Commandments stated laws in do's and not do's form. When he walked down the mountain with the stones of the Ten Commandments, he saw his people doing a sin. He saw the bull idol that they worshipped. Then he got super mad and wrecked the stones. Shortly before the Hebrews reached Canaan, Moses died.
After Moses' death, Joshua, a great general, brought the Hebrews safely to the promised land after a lot of fights. After his death, the 12 tribes split apart. A council of elders led each tribe, and when there was a dispute, a temporary leader called a judge settled the disputes and then led troops into
After
battle.
a long period of time, the Hebrews finally agreed that a king was needed. So Samuel went to find one, and so he did. He founded Saul, a warrior farmer, and he became the first official king of the Hebrews. Some of his accomplishments are defeating some Canaanites and being a king for a relatively long time.
Immediately after Saul's death, a new wise king was picked. His name was David ben Shai. David was a great king for the kingdom because he conquered Jerusalem from the Canaanites and established it as a capital. He also reunited the Hebrews and they became one kingdom. Another great point about him is that he wrote many sacred songs called psalms. God promised him that his descendants will be the rulers of the kingdom. His son, Shlomo, became the next king of the kingdom. After Solomon's death, the kingdom split up to Judah and Israel.
A prophet is a person that claims to have messages from God. Some important prophets in the culture are Elijah, Amos, Hosea, Isaiah of Jerusalem, Micah, Jeremiah, Yechezkel, and Isaiah of Babylon. In conclusion, the Hebrews were a big civilization with many kings, and they were the first monotheistic believers.